The Akvasto Prime essentially came out of nowhere. Nobody was really expecting this weapon to be released outside of the Mesa Prime pack, but from my point of view, one of the most important questions worth asking when it comes to the Akvasto Prime, is it better than the Vasto Prime or not? As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 12 secondary weapon. As per the usual, I will maintain my new player friendly approach and I will have a cheap and affordable build that anybody can build. But real life is on my tail, so just for today, because she's insistent, I will speed things up just a tiny bit and attempt to have everything done in a single take. And you guys let me know in the comment section down below if you noticed any real difference or not. So without further ado, let's jump into the Akvasto Prime. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon behaves without any mods equipped, and for that I'm simply going to be taking a couple of free shots and I'm going to try to emulate my Vasto Prime review. So take a look at the recoil, first thing which I want to point out. Yes, the weapon is still pinpoint accurate, the same accuracy as the Fable Lex Prime, but unfortunately the weapon has double the recoil from the normal Vasto Prime, and if I was to go full rate of fire, yeah, good luck controlling that one. Unfortunately, let's try to fight the mouse a little bit. Okay, I'm actually gonna try to keep it roughly in the same place. It's definitely not easy, so as you can see, you do have to contend with the recoil. So now it's a 12 shooter up from a 6 shooter, and let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. Mod capacity is gonna be 60 out of 60, and if your Akvasto Prime has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Orokin Catalyst. This one can be found from alerts, invasions, or if you're lucky, from the daily sortie. And you can also pay 20 plat to have one installed. Next, my weapon has been formatted a total of 4 times, but this was done only for the purpose of testing. For the weapon build, I'm recommending you guys, free format should cover it. More than enough even with a Riven setup. The accuracy, as you saw, 16.0, pinpoint accuracy, critical chance 22%, crit multi 2.4x, and a status chance of 22%. These are identical to the Vasto Prime, and the exact same damage as well. Not plus, not minus, the exact same, and the same layout as well. But we do have increased fire rate, a lot of good that'll do us considering the recoil, a magazine of 12, double from the normal Vasto Prime, and a slightly longer reload at 1.4 seconds. Riven disposition compared to the Vasto Prime, this one is a 4 out of 5 with the Vasto Prime having a 5 out of 5, and well, that's pretty much it for base stats. I'll be honest here. The only real benefit, as far as I can tell, is the double magazine size, because the fire rate is awesome because it's higher, but then again, you do have to contend with the much larger recoil as well. And speaking of the recoil, is not yet to Lex level of recoil, but it's not far off either. Anyway, let's start slapping on some mods. Hornet Strike is mandatory, 220% extra damage. We're gonna go straight to multi-shot, Battle Diffusion with 120%, and Lethal Time, yeah. This one is a bit debatable from my point of view, especially on the Akvasto Prime, not so much on the Vasto Prime, because of the increased fire rate that makes the recoil even worse than it is. I mean, fire rate, yeah, great, sure, awesome, but if you can't use it, then what's the point in it? We're gonna keep it only for the 60% multi-shot for the time being. Next, we're gonna go to critical chance and critical damage. One of the reasons the Vasto and the Akvasto Prime is a very strong weapon is because it's both decent in critical and in status as well. Pistol Gambit, 120% critical chance, and we're also gonna be adding Target Cracker with 60% critical damage. And of course, if you have Prime versions, go for Prime versions. Not everybody has Prime versions, so we're gonna go with the normal ones for the sake of presentation. 48.4% crit chance with a 3.8x crit multi, and my status chance because of all the multi-shot went up to 50.1%. Keep in mind that this is a shot status chance. Not fantastic, but if you're the kind of guy that loves crit, and let's be honest, most of us love crit, you can go for something like Hydraulic Crosshairs. This one was initially an event-only mod, but you can farm it from Loa Spy missions, link in the cards right now. Next, let's increase that elemental damage, and elemental damage should always be applied depending on circumstance. Where are you going? Who are you fighting? For example, if you're up against the Infested, you can use AoE weapons heavily modded into heat. From my point of view, a weapon such as the Akvasto Prime is more catered to taking out a bigger target. It's not great when it comes to AoE, so think about Ignis Wraith, Amprax, Arca Plasmor, and so on and so forth. What we're going to be doing is building for the Grineer, which are still the toughest targets in Warframe. Against Grineer, you gotta take into account the 2 armor types. Alloy, which is weak to radiation damage, and Ferrite, which is weak to corrosive damage. Corrosive in general is superior because the status procs will also be removing some of the enemy's armor, so bear that one in mind. When it comes to Corpus faction, they have big shields, and against big shields you can build magnetic damage, but a smarter idea would be to build gas or toxin, as it bypasses their shields entirely and deals damage to their health. Corrosive is the elemental combo between electricity and toxin, and we're gonna be going straight for the 60-60 mods. Though do bear in mind that if you're doing your regular missions, I'm talking about doing the sortie, or I don't know, running through some alert. If you're doing enemies which are under level 100, you can simply go for the 90 mods, which provide more damage, but you're losing a good chunk of status chance. Jolt can only be obtained from Barocketeer, the Void Trader, and he brings it every couple of months. This one on the Trade Chat PC currently goes for about 70 to 80 plat, so it is a bit pricey. Don't have it, don't want to spend the plat, then simply use Convulsion instead. As for Toxin, this one is a lot easier to obtain from Corrupted Vor in the Void, or 10 plat from the Trade Chat, Pistol, Pestilent, 60% Toxin, and 60% status chance. And this is gonna be the base build. You see I didn't populate the last mod slot because this is, from my point of view, an option slot. Plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with. Perhaps you're the kind of guy that just wants a bit more damage, then you can go for Augur Pack with 90% extra damage, or perhaps you want more critical chance or critical damage. Critical chance with hydraulic crosshairs like mentioned before, or more critical damage with sharpened bullets. Keep in mind that sharpened bullets gives you 75% critical damage, which is more than target cracker, but this one is less reliable than target cracker, so bear that one in mind. Now if you take a look what we built on the weapon, we got impact, puncture, slash, and corrosive. So that means that my corrosive will proc first, right? Because it's the highest chance. Well, no, not exactly, but keep in mind that IPS, impact, puncture, and slash have a 4 times greater chance at proccing over elemental types such as corrosive. So when you're looking at IPS on a weapon, try to see it as ×4 just to understand exactly what is the proc priority. So if I really want to proc more corrosive than slash with this build, what I want to do is add more electricity or toxin. And here's a bit of a spoiler alert, this video is very similar to the Vasto Prime review, simply because, well, it's basically the same weapon with minor modifications here and there. So let's test the weapon out like this, then we're gonna go for something a bit more slashy. Level 120 Corrupted Heavy Gunner, and we also got a selection of enemies from Fortuna. Shot by shot on the right, and then we're gonna try to go full blast. That's gonna be 12 bullets on the target. I got a lot of slash, but I don't have a viral effect to couple it nicely, and it took what? 12 bullets plus another 5, that's gonna be 17 bullets to kill off one of these high level targets. So as you can see, the weapon definitely can pack a serious punch. But if I try to go rapid fire, alright, you guys try to control it. Honestly, it's pretty hard for me. Speaking of the last mod slot, well, this is such a bad segue, but what you can do is use steady hands to decrease that stupid recoil. If I'm gonna get a better fire rate for this weapon, I might as well use it, right? And I also put on Lethal Torrent, so I might as well drop that one if you so desire. But let's try to go with steady hands, just to see the difference in recoil. There we go, nice and quick. Steady hands is a common mod, honestly you should really have that one. Now let's try to go full blast again. Well, isn't that a difference? Power without control is absolutely nothing, and for my Akvasto Prime I go with steady hands because I prefer to hit my enemies, not the walls. So there you go. As for performance, this is decent considering the level of the weapon. From my point of view, the benefits that the Akvasto Prime brings over the Vasto Primes are kinda negligible, considering it also has a couple of negatives as well. But I'm the same person that recommended the Lex Prime over the Lex Prime, so there you go, and the reasoning remains the same. Usability. Well, that's one way to build a weapon, but what if I want to make use of that slash? It does have a high amount of slash, and as you saw there, I was getting plenty of slashes on my target. Well, that's gonna be simple. I'm simply gonna change from corrosive damage over to viral damage. Viral on the status proc will be reducing the maximum health of a target to 50% for the duration of the viral effect. So in a way, for that limited amount of time, my slashes are kind of dealing double damage. That's kind of the reasoning behind it, and as you may know, slash builds work very well with a viral setup. So I'm going to replace Jolt with Frostbite. Yes, I'm going for the 60-60 mods because I do want a higher status chance out of the weapon so I can apply more slash. I'm keeping steady hands. Honestly, the weapon from my point of view is just not very usable without this mod, so there you go. In terms of performance, I know you're wondering probably which is better, the Vasto Prime or the Akvasto Prime. It's basically the same weapon with a bigger clip size. Okay, you got 12 shots before you need to reload, but you do have a longer reload. The recoil is really ugly in the sense that I honestly feel that I need to mod for the recoil, the damage is the same, the crit chance is the same, crit multi is the same, so there you go. It's not a huge difference. I wouldn't call the Akvasto Prime an upgrade. What I would call the Akvasto Prime is a side grade, pretty much the same deal as with the Lex Prime versus Lex Prime. So there you go, we got a bit of an option. I was fully expecting the weapon to be released with Mesa, but this is what it can do with a slash-based build. Not terrible, definitely not great either, which is pretty much the same thing which I could say about the Vasto Prime. But you can increase the weapon's power by adding a Riven, so let's talk Rivens, shall we? And of course, Prime mods. Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker fully maxed out. As for the Riven I'm going to be using, this is an Akvasto Vixie Saticron with critical chance, multi-shot and electricity, and this is a corrosive based build because from my point of view it simply works better like this. And also my corrosive value now is still not #1 on the proc picking priority. As you can see, if I multiply slash times 4 I'm going to get over 2000 and my corrosive is at 1.6k. Still going to be getting plenty of procs though. So one more time, the exact same targets. Corrupted heavy gunners and some enemies from Fortuna. Keep in mind that if you were to build a weapon for any type of mission, let's say, you can hardly go wrong with a viral slash build. In most circumstances, a build such as that will offer you at least decent results, but if you know you're fighting Grineer, always go for corrosive from my point of view. Unless you know that all of your Grineer will have alloy armor in which you can go for radiation damage. As you can see, a Riven does make a difference. Just keep in mind that the weapon is a lot more powerful now, not just because of the Riven, but also because of the fact that I added Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker. If there ever comes a choice, which should I get first? Oh god damn this rapid fire. Go for Prime Target Cracker over Prime Pistol Gambit, simply because it makes a bigger difference overall. Very hard to control the weapon, but I know there will be some of you out there that are simply that skilled and can control it. I'm simply not one of those kind of players. I will use probably steady hands. Now there's one more thing which I want to do, bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we're going to be using Lady Mirage Prime. What you can do is use Pistol Lamp, 27% extra damage to pistols. This is an aura, so everybody in your party will be receiving this benefit, and it is stackable times 4. And you can also slap on Coaction Drift if you so desire, in order to get even a higher value out of Pistol Lamp. When it comes to arcanes, these are a lot more impactful, and the best one you can go for, from my point of view, etc., is Arcane Precision. Now this one on headshot gives you an 80% chance for plus 120% damage to pistols for 8 seconds. As for your second arcane, you can go for a whole bunch of things. Considering the weapon has the recoil that it has, if you don't want to use steady hands, I wouldn't go for something like Arcane Velocity, which would increase your fire rate. What I would recommend instead would be Awakening. Now this one is super cheap. As you can see, I got plenty of them and I can't sell them because they're super cheap. On reload, 40% chance for plus 100% damage to pistols for 16 seconds, and you will be reloading quite often with the Akvasto Prime, so this one should work nicely for it. Though keep in mind that that bloody 40% chance sometimes is simply unreliable. So let's unpause these here enemies, simulate. And of course, we're also going to be using Lady Mirage's buffs, her free ability for a massive damage increase, as well as the clones. And I'm going to take advantage of the fact that these guys are fighting and just open up. As you can see, with this level of buffs, you can one-shot a Corpus unit, and you can 2 to 3 shot one of the high-level corrupted heavy gunners. And I think that's pretty much it for the weapon. Honestly, I'm not a fan of these iterations. I know it's really cool, dual wielding guns, okay, that's always been a cool thing, but unfortunately there's not a lot of substance here, in the sense that it's not a direct upgrade, it's a side grade, but it does require a higher mastery lockout. Then again, it does require less forma, so there you go. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you have any feedback for me, then by all means leave it in the comment section down below. Now, I can't exactly guarantee you that any weapon suggestions would be done by next time or even within a week, because as you can see, these things take quite a bit of time to build, test, yada yada. But I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. Until next time, guys. Bye bye.